Brandon Lance here, Ugly Duckling Brewing. As y'all can tell from what's sitting behind us, we have another 12-gallon batch for y'all. Today we are doing Hefeweizen.
Yep.
It'll be interesting. This is one we brewed quite a few times.
Is it Hefeweizen or Hefeweizen?
Weizen.
It is Weizen. Weiss, like
beer.
a Weiss.
Wheat beer. White beer.
There's many laughters at bars with people talking about it.
Yeah.
Off and on. I've caught that. My daughter gets drilled a lot by it. So 12 gallons, right?
12-gallon batch. Yep.
Technically 10 when we're done?
Technically 10 by the time everything's said and done. It should be about 12 and a half gallons, almost 13 gallons going into the fermenter though.
Yep. We're going to take y'all along for the ride. If y'all hear a little bit of raindrops, sorry about that. It's January, still cold, and a slight drizzle, so it's kind of hitting the roof.
Metal roof.
If you don't hear it,
hey, awesome. Yeah. Good job, Mike.
So we're going to try to be a little bit more informative today. We're going to give you guys a little bit more information of how we're brewing and why we're doing certain things. We're going to try to take you along the way. This is, even though it's a simple beer, there's so many things you can do with this beer. Very highly controversial. There's, some people rather clove, some people rather banana. We use the Y Stefan Y yeast for this one. White Labs does have a strain which is close to it, but it's not quite the one that Y Stefan uses, which is the beer you could buy in the store. I've heard White Labs has come along and you can get better flavors out of it. We just, why change something that we like? It sticks to us.
Don't mess with something that works.
That works, right? Both yeast strains can give you the effect of banana or clove depending on what you go to and what you're doing with it. So just to break down that real quick, because I want to give you guys that first piece of information. On the Hefeweizen, it does matter on temperature for fermentation by far on this one. There's also, which we're not going to talk about now, but there's a difference that you have to do with your mash step that helps you better give body to the beer in certain things. It helps you out.
It's a step mash.
We'll explain that to you later. Correct. It's a step mash, not a single step. But on the fermentation side, when doing a Hefe, when you stick to about 64 degrees, that gives you a nice base balanced beer. It's not so heavy on clove, not so heavy on bananas. It really gives you the best of both worlds.
Yeah,
some people say. When you bounce up to 68, you start leaning towards the clove side, which is more of your spice kind of herb, right? It's a spicy herb. Clove.
Yes,
but not our thing. I don't knock it. There's good beers out there that have it, just not our thing.
It's not the profile we go for when we make Hefeweizen.
Right. I don't think there's one person in our group that likes the clove side.
No, there's some that like clove, but with this beer, they definitely want the banana side on it.
The next step up would be 72, which is where we float at, which gives you the bananas part of the flavoring, and then we ramp up to 74 after 4 days. And the whole part of that is it stresses the yeast out, which gives you that banana flavor because it's really an all flavor. Is what it is.
It's esters. Yeah, it's kicking off esters.
And some will say the higher you get up, the more you stress your yeast, you actually fall into a bubblegum flavor, which is kind of a treat when you hit that. I will say this, we've hit bubblegum quite a few times, but the bubblegum never stays long. It comes in for about a week or two.
I said we get it for about a week.
And then you lose it.
So funny enough, we kick a lot of kegs in that week's time.
That's right. Once it hits, everybody's like, ooh. There is another way you could do it besides temperature. You can underpitch your yeast, and then you also will get that banana, because like we said, you're stressing the yeast out. That's how you get the flavor. But that's not something
that's
most
a danger
people
zone.
recommend, because that comes into our story we did our first beer on tank, which was a Hefe, and we underpitched. We stressed the yeast. We tried doing it that way, and it was a fail.
We set ourselves up for failure, though. I mean, that's when tank was still propane. We had just built tank. We had just gotten that barrel fermenter in, and we're like, all new equipment. Let's brew one of the most temperature-sensitive beers we brew.
Yeah, we tanked on it. So highly suggest you don't stress your yeast. Go with your temperatures. It's way more stable. It's easier to control. You just never know how hard or how bad you stress your yeast. And if you didn't give enough nutrients, you end up dropping your yeast out because they die. They give up, and then now you have an attenuated. I think is the right
attenuated
beer. So, all right. So we're gonna go ahead and take y'all along. As you can see, we've done nothing today. We're gonna give y'all a piece of the brew.
Yeah, kind of like a behind the scenes type of thing. Things they don't see when the camera gets turned off, which is fun because things might go sideways quick.
Correct. So Gonna turn the pumps on. We're gonna start getting water flow first. Or we starting? You walk us through what we're doing.
Yeah. So the one thing I did do off camera, only because it's you got to burp the air out of the lines. I have the pilot lights lit, and on this system, using ASCO valves with propane, it's got to have pilot lights on the burners so they light.
So basically, quick rundown. He came in with his little striker, right? There you go. Went underneath. There's little pilot lights underneath, which we will be doing a walkthrough in the stand soon. Lit his pilot lights, so now his pilot lights are lit. Now all he has to do is start rotating with the ASCO valve. Right. All right.
So first thing I'm gonna do is go ahead and open up the valves on the sparge kettle and on the mash tun. Start getting all this air burped out of these lines.
Let me know which one you want first.
Go ahead and do the sparge kettle.
Sparge kettle. Fire one. So what he's doing now, he's burping the line, he's just squeezing because we found it's easier. Both Spike and our Riptides have bleeder valves, which I will say one up, and we're going to do a comparison on the two pumps. One up on the Spike, they actually put a tube on your bleeder where you can actually burp it into a cup and then put whatever water you lost back into the pot. That's a big win right there on Spike. That is cool. Now, I'll be honest with you. I think Brandon's burped these pumps. We're actually hitting a little valve twice since he's had them.
It's hard to break old habits, right? Yeah. We're so used to squeezing lines to get air out, knowing that these pumps will actually burp while they're running. So, because it doesn't push pressure through the bleed off valve, I can literally bleed these pumps, just crack, done, close, send it, but just squeezing lines, man, squeezing lines.
Let's see if the next one does. Let me grab you a cup.
I'll tell you what. Stay right there. I'll go grab a
cup.
Well, yes and no. We're gonna go bowl, just because it's the bleeder line is close to the bottom of the.
We're gonna do this. He's gonna turn his pump on. We're not gonna need to bleed.
I was about to say it's gonna flow. Yeah.
So, all right. Let me know when you're ready.
All right. Go ahead and send it.
All right.
Watch.
Mash tun coming in.
Ha! We do need to bleed.
And it ain't much. Not. I see it trying to fix itself. It's almost fixed itself. But here he goes. It actually fixed itself.
We're going to pretend it didn't. We're going to say it didn't and it does.
So here he goes. He's actually, the pump's running.
Actually,
he's opening the valve.
There was some air still in the pump.
So he's opening it up a little bit here. You can see the little bit of water draining. And pretty much that's it. I mean, I do see a little bit of air still, but I think it's because I pushed it up. There you go. And done. I mean,
throttle that down a little bit. Get a nice, even, like I call it, my little mushroom umbrella.
So there you go. So now he's bled his water. He's got his pumps running. And I will tell you, on weeded beers, it's important to get all the out your lines because your best chance to get a stuck mash is on a weeded beer.
So best.
All right. So what's next?
Next thing is to fire up the ASCO valves and on our Inkbirds. Oh, we didn't even do that, did we?
So I'll let you go ahead and do it. Okay. I'm going to move out the way. So what he's going to do now is he's going to come in and he's going to set our temperatures on Inkbird.
So our starting temperature on the Hefeweizen for the first part of the step of the mash is 90 degrees, right?
Yep. And we'll give you all a little bit more information on that soon.
This is just riveting content, me holding a button down.
You can go in there and move the little dot over to control each line of your temperature. Again, like Brandon said, old habits, we just hit the arrow button. We normally never change more than 2 or 3 degrees, so it's really not unnecessary. But on the Inkbirds, there are little arrows where you can bounce over what number you're editing.
Okay. Sparge kettle, we have it set to 165.
So we're good there.
And we'll just turn this to auto, and as long as my pilot lights are still lit.
Yep. There
it is. Okay. And then on the mash tun.
And I heard it.
So those clicks y'all heard, that was the ASCO valves opening up and sending gas to the burners. So now they're lit, and We are ready to.
We're ready to go. And
So,
that is one thing I'll say that I do like about propane over electric. Yes, we hear the clicks on my system, but we had a switch go bad on tank. We thought the system was on, both elements were on, and in fact only one was gone. When we realized an hour later we climbed, I think it was 30 degrees instead of the 100,
yeah.
we realized something was wrong. Whereas in gas, you hear click and then you hear woof, which is the sound of the flame on the burner. So there are pluses for this.
Yeah.
The other thing too is on this beer here especially, like Brandon said here, we're starting at 9 and we'll explain this later. But from 90 to the next step on the electric takes me way too long to get to temp.
Yeah.
Whereas over here it's probably 5 minutes.
Yep, 5 minutes. Yeah.
So there you go. We're gonna go ahead and get into the next step here, and then we'll bring you along. So what's next?
Mashing. I mean, not mashing. Sorry, milling.
Milling.
Time to mill.
All right. So am I pouring or are you pouring?
I mean, either way, it doesn't really matter on this one, does it?
I'm right-handed.
Sure.
Ready?
Send it. Seen the entire starting process. Seen us mill the grain. Next time y'all come back, that mash tun, which is climbing rapidly, will be at 90 degrees and we'll be mashing it.
Yep.
So
we're gonna get cleaned off here from the grain and get y'all back here in a second.
You will.
We see who's doing all the work.
I was pulling the trigger on the drill. It's fine.
See you in a bit. All right, we're back. As you can see, we already hit 90 degrees. So this is gonna be our first drop. And like I said earlier, this process is a little different. We started at lower temperatures, and Brandon's gonna go ahead and break some of that down for you guys.
Yep. So like we told you a while ago, step mash. This is the first section of our step mash. 90 degrees for 10 minutes. It is the beta glutenase step. And the reason why we're going through these different temperatures, different steps, is it's extracting different enzymes and proteins and sugars out of the mash, out of the grain for the mash, helping us control the flavor of the beer. It's basically the way it works out.
So it affects your body basically, your maltiness, less malty, more malty. And like Brandon said, is breaking different enzymes down that allows it allows your yeast to eat the sugars basically a little easier is what we're doing, which makes the body change. So, all right, let's go ahead and do it.
All right, cool deal. What I'm going to do is go ahead and kill the mash pump so we can get this sparge arm out the way.
Yeah, so while we're doing that and let you kind of explain what's going on here. So we do things a little different here on this one. I'll let Brandon go ahead and explain why he's stirring, why we turn the actual fire off in the pump. Because you do turn the fire off, right?
Yes, just did.
Okay.
So we turn the fire off and the pump on this system so that we can let the grain settle and build us a nice grain bed, a filtering grain bed on this. This system monitors temperature through the pumps, through the end right here. This is where my temperature probe is. So if we're not circulating, it's not reading a correct temperature. So the whole time it would have fire under this, which would raise our temperature, which is not what we want. So right now we're going to go ahead and mash in, let this grain bed settle, and then slowly start bringing the circulation back in while not compacting the grain bed too tightly and causing it to get a stuck mash, which on a wheat beer is very easy to do.
Right. So in this beer, it's kind of like a double standard here. The grain bill isn't really big for the amount of water that we have in here. So like you would think it wouldn't get stuck, but then again, it's wheat. So it kind of counters that. How's my flow? Is it good?
Good.
And I'm sure y'all heard us a couple times on mash-ins. Ask, how's my flow? Is it good? So basically, the guy pouring is asking the guy that's stirring, am I going too fast, too slow? Meaning, and the reason for, sorry, not meaning, is we don't want dough balls in here. If the grain sticks together the dough ball, it's dry, and that's chances that, or sugars we're leaving behind, I should say. Which your efficiency then goes down, and then you bought grain that you
didn't use.
You didn't use. So you wasted money. You know, on a 10-gallon, 5-gallon system, it's bad because you only have so much grain you're working with. On a big system, you have more grain to kind of counter, but then you're losing money, which adds up really quick.
And I'm not trying to pay for grain that I'm not using.
That's right. So this grain build was what, 20 pounds?
22 pounds.
22 pounds. So if we would have done this one on the barrel system tank, it would have probably been about 70 pounds.
About 70 to 80. Yeah.
So basically our price tripled.
Which I will tell you, for a grain bill, for a recipe, you cannot get any easier than a traditional Hefeweizen. I mean, the recipe is kind of written in stone.
Right. So what Brandon's saying there is for a true Hefe, to be classified as a Hefe, you basically have two ingredients. You got a Pilsner and a wheat.
Base malt of Pilsner and a base malt of wheat.
And it has to be 50-50. If those two ingredients are not 50-50, technically it's not a Hefeweizen. It's something else. What they call them,
a wit. It's a wit beer.
A wit, and there's another one though. God darn it, can't think this morning.
But with that being said, the difference between a good Hefeweizen and a great Hefeweizen is what Lance was talking about earlier. It's all in the stamp mash and it's all in the fermentation.
There you go. So y'all can see over the top right here, it's that kind of milky color. That's what it tends to do at that 90-degree temperature. As Brandon said earlier, this is a step mash. So we're going to jump up after 10 minutes. I think it is, right? Yeah. 10 minutes, we're going to jump up to 122 degrees. And then from there, we'll go to our mash-in temperature, which is 154. So You told them what we're getting at 90 degrees. What's it called at the 120? 122?
The 122 level, it is the glutenase rest. It's another enzyme that's getting extracted out of it. Some people also call that the protein rest.
Yeah, the protein rest.
So, and then that'll have a rest for 20 minutes, and then we'll bump it up to that normal 152 degrees to finish out the rest of it.
So there you go. It's a 90-minute mash for us on our Hefeweizen.
Yep.
So we'll see y'all guys when we flip it up to 122.
10 minutes. As I'm pretty sure y'all can hear, 10 minutes is up. So that takes care of the glutenase rest.
Yep.
And now we'll be going to the protein rest, basically.
No. The gluten's the next one.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. That was the beta rest.
The beta rest.
Glutenase
there you
rest.
go.
Yep.
And as y'all can see up top here, the color of it. Again, we spoke about that earlier. The 90-degree temperature basically gives it this look. And also, it's a wheated beer. So we're really not going to clear up a little bit. And you don't want that on a Hefeweizen. So Brandon's over there setting our temperature. We're going to jump up to 122 degrees. We have a 20-minute timer on this one. We're not going to start the timer until we reach temperature.
Which on this system will probably take maybe 5 minutes, hopefully.
Yeah. So we won't bore you guys with any of that. Brandon's going to go ahead and set it. We're going to turn it on. There you go. We'll see you guys back.
Probably about 25 minutes. Well, be blink of an eye for them.
Blink of an eye for y'all. We'll show y'all at the 60-minute mark that we're at the temp at 154. So we'll bring y'all in at that. Maybe explain a little bit more about the system and where we're going from there.
Yep.
And then after that, it's transfer and ball time. Oh, Sparge. Sorry. It'll be
fun. Speaking of that, we've got to fill the fermenter up with water and Star Time.
Yeah, there you go. So we'll see you guys back in a little bit.
We are done with the 20-minute at 122, which means it's time to bump the temperature up to 152 degrees. I don't know if y'all heard that, but there was a click. Fire is lit. Going to start raising the temperature on this. Surprisingly for me, well, I can't really say surprisingly, because Hummer's been doing his job. Our mash has been going amazingly well. Hasn't stuck.
No.
Hasn't given us any trouble whatsoever. So we're going to get this up to 154 degrees. Now, we did take a pH reading.
Yes.
During this last mash step. Came out to
6.1.
Wasn't that high? Yes, it was. 6.10.
And we needed 5.2, so we put in 38
milliliters of lactic acid to adjust the pH. When this comes up to temp, We'll take another reading on that to make sure that our adjustments got us within the ballpark on that.
Yeah. We'll actually get it to temp and let it go for about 15, 20 minutes.
Right.
Just that gives us about 30 minutes of it working, being circulated in there. And then, like Brandon said, we'll take another reading, and we'll show you guys that reading to show you that 5.2 is our target, and that's where we're at. So,
well, cool deal. So it's got another 22 degrees to climb. We'll bring y'all back when it's at temp, and we're about 10 minutes into this final stage of the mash. Do the pH reading.
all right, so here we go. We are wrapping up our mash. We didn't bring y'all in like we said. We bumped it up to 154. Timer's about to go off that our mash is done, and then from here we do what, Brandon? We're going to sparge. There you go. Go ahead and hit it.
Yep.
So what's the next steps here, Brandon?
Next step is to go ahead and kill that.
I'll come over here.
Kill that. And we'll kill that pump. Kill that pump. Okay.
So while Brandon's configuring everything, like we told y'all before, we do things a little different here. We don't fly sparge, we actually sparge. So we're going to actually take all of our liquid off of our grain here, bring it over to the ball kettle, and then we're going to transfer our sparge water on top, and then we circulate over here for another 15 minutes.
Yeah, we batch sparge.
Batch sparge, there you go.
And we burn ourselves because I still haven't changed over my valves.
Yep, and appreciate the guy in the comment that talked about the T's on top and everything. We have looked at that. It's just, do we want to spend the money right now kind of thing. We do appreciate the comment, though. You know, sometimes people find different ways to do things, and we're always looking to improve, like we said.
Absolutely.
A little bit of grain, but not much. So here we go. Brandon's starting to transfer here. You can see here we have a nice color right here. I'll try to zoom in right here a little bit, but looking nice, looking good, looking good.
So we're going to get the contents of the mash tun transferred over into the ball kettle. Once that's transferred over, I'll put fire underneath the ball kettle, get it started. Then we'll take the water out of the sparge kettle, bring it over to the mash tun, and let it sparge for 10 minutes? 15 minutes. Yep, 15 minutes. And then once that's done, we'll bring that over into the ball kettle, and you're rocking and rolling. Whew, you can definitely tell it is struggling to pull that wort through that wheat though.
So we have any new brewers here. Basically, while we're mashing, we're pulling sugars out like we talked about earlier.
Right.
Different temperatures allows the enzymes to do different things of breaking down the sugar for the yeast. You want the sugars to be like a single, I think it's just called a single cell sugar, which makes it easier for the beer to break, the yeast to break down. So complex sugars won't get broken down whenever you're fermenting beer, which, you know, is how you give sweetness and things to beer. Certain things do different things. There's what they call like lactose milk, right?
Yep.
Lactose milk.
Yep.
You put into a stout, which is a sweeter sugar, which it does break down, but does leave some behind. You have your sugars from the malts, which is basically feeding the sugar, the yeast, to create alcohol, and that's where you're getting your alcohol from. So you can actually come in here with a complex sugar to sweeten up, like a Belgian candy syrup or something like that, which gives sweetness. I'm not sure if it breaks down.
It is fermentable, but not all of it.
Not all of it, right? So right now we're transferring our what we're still called wort over. Yep. It's what you get from the mash. It's wort even when we're done in here. Eventually we're going to add our hops and everything in here. And then we're going to move this over to the fermentation tank when we're done, where we add the yeast, where yeast eats the wort, the sugar's left behind, and creates alcohol. And then that's how you have your beer.
And when we bring the sparge water over into the mash tun, we will break up that grain bed again, just to make sure that we're rinsing all that residual sugar out of those grains. We're trying to get, well, the best bang for our buck.
Yep.
Really trying to. I mean, we paid for the grain, so we paid for the sugar. We're trying to get all that sugar out of that grain and into this ball kettle to get the best utilization of our grain as we can.
Right, because if we can get our original gravity higher with less grain, then we're saving money. Obviously, it becomes kind of feasible. You know, that's another thing too I'd like to talk about. Like, Most people assume that doing home brew is like anything else. When you're doing it at home, you save money. Look, by the time you buy if you buy nice equipment and you're buying materials to brew, it's not so much about the savings. It's about having what you want to brew at home, what you want to drink at home, and you're doing it yourself. Yes, you can come out cheaper buying um, little small 5 gallons and doing it on crawfish pots or however you want to do it. I mean, look, in today's world, the all-in-one systems you can get an all-in-one system for $400. Brew a 5 gallon batch that costs you what on we do it for Northern Brewer, the $50 a month for the membership, and you get a beer $50. That's 5 gallons of beer. You do that. What's a case of beer? We figured it out. I think a case of beer. I think a 5 gallon batch is 2.5 cases.
Yeah, I think it broke down something like that. I mean, the way we looked at it, you practically doubling what you pay to. I think we're about.
Yeah, I mean, you're good. You're gonna sparge on top, so we're fine. You're gonna catch all this back on the sparge,
right? Okay. So go ahead and kill that.
So are you saving money? Not really. But again, it's drinking what you want to brew. But then again, I don't know. I mean, you're making craft beer. I don't know what beer costs in your local area, but a good craft beer in our area is about $8-9 a beer. So that times 24 is what we're doing math today.
Well, we already know that if you bought a 5 gallon keg of Ghost, it was $146.
$146
for a 5 gallon
keg. So, and we could do it for 5 gallons. For a Ghost, it probably costs us about 70.
If 70
$70 for 5 gallons, because we do 10 here.
Right.
So this right here, the Hefeweizen cost us it was $77, and that's with us buying. No, it was $77. It ended up being $120 because I had to buy Star San and some more popper and stuff. Which that doesn't really affect one beer because that's over a bunch of beers. The Star San is going to last us for a long time. The popper is for another 2 more beers at 10 gallons. So actually 4 more beers at 10 gallons. So
yeah,
it's really. You can say it cost us $80 to make 10 gallons of this beer, which isn't bad. I mean, if a good Weisstefan, I think for the single ones that you get, the big they're bigger than the 12 ounce.
Bombers.
The bombers, they're $9.99 a bottle. So just base it off. I mean, again, we're doing all this. I'm circling back around to you don't really save much money. It's more being able to drink what you want.
You want to grab the paddle and break up that grain bed, or
no?
No, you don't want to, or no, you don't. You don't want to stir the concrete block, and remember, there's that big handle right in the middle.
Yeah.
Oh, it's settled. It definitely settled. Good thing is, from the look of it, I'm not seeing any dry grain, which is good. And looking at the top of it, we had no tunneling. It was like a perfect little ant pile, like I call it.
So we tend to not try to stir our grain while we're mashing in. Now, obviously, we're doing it right now because we're going from the sparge over to the mashing from the sparge. And it's because we're batch sparging, it's gonna sit here for 15 minutes. So it's gonna settle back down and we're gonna clear up. And we do that because you don't want to bring over all that
extra protein
that you're dealing with when you're mashing in. So in this case, again, we're going to settle back down. It'll be nice and clear by the time we come over, so we're good here. What's weird, though, is, I had this discussion with St. Arnold about 10 years ago at his brewery. I was watching them brew, and the whole time, if you go to a brewery, they're actually spinning the wort the whole time, the mash, the whole time they're doing it at a big brewery.
So they're stirring it the whole time.
The difference is, I mean, they're doing that for efficiency, obviously. Right. You have so much grain in these big 250 barrel systems. I think they brew 100 half, so it's always 120 barrel when they're actually brewing. So they brew twice a day. But they're stirring to get efficiency. The advantage they have is they have these big tanks where they whirlpool everything every time they move. So once they're done mashing, they whirlpool, they bring everything back to center, the liquid clears up and they bring it over to the boil. Some of them dump the mash out and ball back in. It depends on what system you're on. So that is the difference between a home brewer and a a big brewery.
Hey, just different ways of utilizing the grain.
Yep. Well, in most cases, it's not efficient for a home brewer to buy a system like that.
No,
I mean,
it'd be nice.
it'd be nice.
Electric paddle system, electric whirlpool system.
So that'd be easy. You could buy a rotisserie, and just like flip it and then make your paddle spin. But it's the whirlpooling after to clear.
Right. Yeah, well, I'm telling you, I have hardly no dead loss. The way I got that pickup arm. It all depends on how level the brew stand is that day.
All right, so there you go, guys. We got it back. Sparge water's on top now. We're doing what we call again a bash sparge. I'm gonna flip this around so we don't get the handle nice and steamy. We're gonna get this back to temp. We're gonna go 15 minutes once it hits the 167. We're not gonna bore you guys with that. So we're gonna go ahead and get this all set up. We'll come back when we start bringing the sparge over to our boil. Meanwhile, Brandon's gonna start getting our boil tank kicking, and we're gonna start getting this to a boil as well. That way we're ready to roll.
And I'm gonna hook the counterflow up, start pumping Star Sand out of here
Back
into there, get it ready. So
there you go.
waste
So
not, want not.
we'll be cleaned here, ready to put beer. Counterflow will be sanitized, and we'll start bringing to a boil.
Yes, sir. As y'all can see, that's the end of our sparge. So we can go ahead and kill the mash pump and the ball pump, so I can burn myself again.
And as you can see here, Brandon started warming up while he's rotating everything. I'll do a little bit of talking here. We're already at 188 degrees on the ball kettle over here. This has been sparging at about 164 to 167. We're really worried about the rinsing here. Brandon's going to replumb. We're going to bring our sparge over into our ball kettle. We had a good question a while ago, so we're going to kind of mention it on here too. You know, it was asked, why do we sparge into a ball kettle, which we never really thought about even explaining this. I mean, this is a really good question. Is two things. One, we left sugars behind here. Most importantly, though, all about the volume of liquid that we bring over. So we need, your system's what, 15 gallons?
It is it's a 20-gallon system.
No, but what Wort, what did we come over with?
It's a little over 15 gallons. I actually have a mark on the inside of the pot.
Right. He has it marked to know where we need to be. So we need 15 gallons of Wort over here by the time we're done to get our 12 gallons of Wort inside of our fermentation tank. Or 12 gallons total with your ball over. I'll ball off, I'm sorry.
Right.
So if we start with 15, he balls down to 12, and that gives us about 10.5 to 11 gallons in the fermentation tank to give us our trum and all of our leftovers going back into our fermentation tank. So when we drain out of there, we have our 10 gallons, both our kegs are full. So the whole point is really sparging helps you get your volume of water that you need to finish. Breweries don't have to sparge because they're bigger pots. They're able to do it all in one. We can't do it because of size limit. We would have to basically take a 10-gallon batch and maybe do it in a barrel to get it right. So I just thought that was a really good question, and we'd mentioned it here.
Absolutely.
So as you can see now, we're bringing over the sparge over to here. We will take a pre-reading, right, pre-gravity reading, just so we have our numbers, because we've told y'all before we like to track all that. You know what our original's supposed to be here, Brandon?
No.
We still have our notes from the last one.
Sorry, I'm still
you're good.
plumbing. Let's see.
Oh, you got it?
1049 should be our original OG. So
I'm going to go on a limb and say we should be around 1055-ish, 1056 pre-boil, right?
pre-boil, 1038 is what it's showing for pre-boil.
That's right, because you're boiling down. I always go the wrong way.
Right.
I always go the wrong way. Sorry about that. So 1038, and we're looking for 1044?
Yes.
So 1038 is because we got that 15 gallons of water that we're starting with, and we're boiling down, 3 gallons or so of liquid, which brings your sugar contents up, or your original gravity, which at 1044, the Hef, I think, finishes at like 1011. While he's doing that, I'll go look, which we normally get about 5.4, I think, alcohol on this beer, 4.9. So we are looking for, 1011. Man, nailed it. And both of them, right?
And
if I didn't nail it, I'm going to edit it. That way I was right. Just so you know. How we looking?
Oh, we're about to say we're money.
Okay.
We are money.
All right. So as you can see here now, we got our liquid here. Where's your line? It's at
the line. Yeah, okay. The bubble covered it.
So we got our line here. We're going to go ahead and replumb a little bit because you got to circulate for a little while, right?
I do.
So he's going to burn himself one more time. Brandon's going to flip that over.
Huh.
You want towels?
No, it's too late for towels. It's a good thing I got a concrete floor. That's all I'm saying.
All right, we're flipping over. He's going to recirculate this. We're going to get this going. We're going to mix it up a little bit. We'll give it about 5 minutes or so to circulate, and then we're going to grab a pre-boiled reading here before we get to a boil, and then we'll post that number to show you guys what we got. So we were looking for 1.038, I think you said, or 1.039, somewhere in there. We'll see how close we hit. And then, again, we're looking for 1.044 at the end. So we'll be back. We want to sit here and let you guys be bored with that.
And we're about to start cleaning. Yay.
See y'all in a bit.
So we're getting close to that first 30 minutes of the boil before we do our first hop drop. The boil's been going amazingly. We got a good, solid rolling ball that the camera up there should be showing. When that timer goes off, we'll be dropping in 2 ounces of hops. Want to make sure to bring y'all in before we did that because, you know, there's the whole green monster boil over thing whenever we add hops to it. So there's that.
As you can see, while Brandon's going to dump the hops, you can see we have a pot listed here, so we already started cleaning. And then we have the counterflow hooked up and water pushed through it that's sanitized.
Yep.
So we're good to go to bring.
So you want a full dump or you want a scatter dump? Full dump. Yeah, when you drop hops in, it adds oil to the pot. So if anything, you would think this would kill the boil, not make it overboil.
So anyways, back to here.
Yeah.
Here we go. We have we have another.
Let's see.
Minutes to our next drop, which is going to be our Sanitation.
Yes, and I'll go ahead and get that started now.
So we have water brought in from here that we brought from the tank. Like we said earlier, we do the same thing here at my house. We're going to put ice in here to cool our counterflow down. So we're hooked up, ready to go. We're actually well together here. So it's been a really good brew. We haven't had any issues.
Rocking and rolling. Old Hummer doing the thing.
Clean up here in a little bit, and we ain't got much to clean up for that. Need another pot.
By the time we bring them back, we'll be ready to drop the Cervomyces, and a clean mash tun should be sitting right here. Got 10 minutes left to go in the ball. You know, invigorating video right here. Cervomyces, yeast nutrient. Going into the ball, we got 10 minutes left. Go ahead and start that up. We'll bring y'all back in 10 minutes when we are coming through this counterflow, getting it up into the fermenter, and close this out and let y'all know what we think about how this brew day went.
As y'all can see from here, though, we got ball going pretty aggressive. Y'all can see here.
Hey, camera.
I'll zoom in so y'all can see this. It's been like this pretty much the whole time. Here's our line right here where we were. We're probably down about 3 gallons, probably, so which is what
we're close. We're close to where we need to be.
We got this one right here. You can see it's nice and clean.
All nice, clean, shiny, pretty.
Like we tell you guys, clean as y'all work. Makes it a lot easier. And over here, you can see there's foam. We're going to have ice in here in a bit. We had 62 degrees right there. And it will probably drop this down to about 40. So there you go. We'll see y'all guys in about 10 minutes.
All right, guys. See y'all in about 10. Know what that means.
I thought we were going to leave it beeping the whole time.
Nah. I mean, you know, never mind. So, we're going to go ahead and kill the gas. Brew day, she is done. The only thing we have left to do now is start flowing beer through the counterflow, through this. Lance is going to get the remainder of the star sand that's in here pumped into this bucket, hook it back up, start getting the wort into the fermenter. We've already added ice while my ice machine drops more ice. We've already added ice to that star sand. We currently have it sitting at 42.9 degrees, so it's going to help cool this beer off through the counterflow as we get it in here.
Yep. So like Brandon said, we're going to take the sanitizer out the counterflow. Also, too, I know it's hard to see. I'll try to zoom in on the software. I don't know if I can, but we actually have this to where you can see right here it's moving. At least y'all can see that. That's so we're relieving the pressure as we're pumping wort into a tank that's cold, that's going to be warmer. So obviously you create pressure, which then stops your pump from pumping. So just a pro tip there. So I'm ready when you are, Brandon.
All right, so I have the valve changed over to where now we're going through the counterflow. I can open this valve up. All right, go ahead and hit the pump. Let's see what happens. That is so hot. Man, you have skills on another level. Just throwing it out there.
I've done this once or twice.
Once or twice.
Said it.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and dial this one back to slow the flow of beer down.
Closed.
Close. Yes, thank you.
So while Brandon's running that, I'm going to go ahead. I think I'm back in frame here. I'm going to take some of this water we have, the sanitized water, and fill up this bucket so we can put the ice spindle in.
We don't want to fire up the controller just yet.
Right.
Because we don't want it registering the original gravity of Star Sand.
Right, there you go. So here you go. We got this in here now. You can see here. We got it floating. There you go. It's going to be sitting in here until then. I think last time we just stuck it in here, if I'm not mistaken. In fact.
Oh, actually, yeah, we did.
There you go.
There you go. So that's going to sit in there. It's going to probably take about 10 minutes for this to filter through while that sits there and sanitizes. And then we'll drop that in there. We'll plug the controller up so we can monitor the temperature. We'll also take an actual hydrometer reading just to double check the accuracy of the.
We have it sitting over there, so we got to pull it. We were a little low on the number, which hopefully doesn't equal to more alcohol again, but we're going to grab from here. Oh. So we're going to go ahead and get everything circulating here. Feels pretty good. I mean, I'm going to say we're probably about 70 right here. 68, 70.
See how good you think you are. 73.4.
So we're going to go ahead and let this finish. We're not going to bore y'all with the wort coming through. It's just watching paint dry. We're going to go ahead and get everything cleaned. We'll come back. We'll show them our original gravity, sorry. But we'll do our original gravity. We'll show you guys that. We'll show you the system's clean and give you all a little outtake on how the day went. Brew day complete. We have pots clean. I know y'all can only see 2 of them, but everything's clean, dry, hooked back up. Everything's good over there. We got everything off here. We got blow-off valve on. We got to pitch the yeast. And according to the ice spin over here, we're at 1047.
1047. We should have been at 1049, so we missed it by 0.02, but I still call that a freaking win, no matter how you look at it.
As well. I'm going to call that good. So we're going to go ahead and pour the yeast.
Temperature-wise, we are at currently 74.8. What did we need to be at?
72.
Oh, that's pitching temperature all day. Do you see it? Can you find it?
I have to pull my stopper off.
Punk. Okay, so is this going to be a curveball, a fastball? How are you pitching this? I'm in the wrong way, aren't I? Do I need to swap with you? You sure?
I need to be a switch hitter.
Well, you know. Got him. Watch the finer yeast in the fermenter.
So there you go. Yeast in, beer done. Still, well, wort done. We're not beer yet.
Not beer yet.
That's going to be our 10 gallons of Hefeweizen. There you go. There's the color.
Oh, it's going to be good.
It's going to be good.
It's going to be good.
Hopefully the yeast does its thing.
All right. Well, we already know. There's a reason why we swear by this specific strain when it comes to our Hefeweizen.
Yeah. Yep. It's always done as good. So we had a happy starter. It looked nice and healthy. I don't know. What you think?
Other than cleaning the flask and cleaning the hydrometer and just hurry up and wait now.
Sit back, drink some beers, and relax, right?
I mean, I'm not going to complain with you, but don't threaten me with a good time.
All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Catch y'all on the next one. If y'all don't mind, hit the like, subscribe, and the little notification button down below. Ding, ding.
Ding.
And we'll catch y'all guys on the next one.
Later, y'all. 10 minutes left. Hey, easy. Y'all didn't see that. Hey, pulse edit. Edit that out. It's fine.
I ain't going to say any more made outcuts, but.
And 2 ounces of Hallertau hops.
Blow-off valve on. We got to pitch the yeast. We don't want to
piss the yeast.
We could piss it off too.
Damn yeast.